Hi guys, and welcome to another video from Stupid is the Norm, where we demonstrate how to become a millionaire in 10 years on minimum wage. And in this video, what I want to do is explain to you why it is that so many people don't become wealthy. And that's because the system is rigged in such a way to keep everyone average and normal. Now, when I say rigged, I don't mean that it's been designed by some James Bond supervillain who's sitting in a big room somewhere with TVs around the walls and his finger on a big red button. And I'm always surprised how many people are willing to believe that that's how the world works, that these people actually exist, when most people who've worked for big organisations like the armed forces I have, or work for the NHS or the government, know that the bigger the system is, the more chaotic it is, and there's very rarely anybody in charge who knows what the hell's going on. So no, I don't mean it's rigged that way. What I mean is the system has evolved in such a way that it keeps everybody normal because it's easier to run that way. So let me walk you through the system, and you can tell me in the comments below if you recognise any of it. First of all, we all go to education of some sort around about the age of 4, up until the age of 18 or thereabouts now. And we're all taught exactly the same thing. It's called the national curriculum. So we're all educationally average. Instead of what we should be doing was finding early on what children are good at or interested in and excel at, and then concentrating on those subjects. Because if we did those subjects, the things, remember back at school, the things you love doing, whatever the subject is, you'd look forward to the week when that subject came up. And if they just concentrated on those subjects, you would leave at the age of 16 or 18 a genius in those subjects. But they can't do that because it's very difficult to organise. So everybody gets the same education throughout, and that's why everybody's educationally average. It's not like an education system as such. It's more, state-sponsored babysitting. Now, from the age of 18, if you're one of the 50% who want to go to university and study some other narrowly defined subject, then you can do so, and the government will lend you £50,000 to do that, which must be the worst start that anyone can have in their lives, which is to start at age 20, 21 with £50,000 worth of debt. Many of the subjects offered you at degree level will bear no resemblance or relevance at all to your eventual job. All it will serve to prove is that you can remember stuff. So you leave school or university and you get a job where you're expected to work 8 hours a day, an average working day. 8 hours work, 8 hours downtime, 8 hours sleep, an average day for the average Joe. During your working year, you'll be allocated 2 weeks summer leave where you can go to another country that your average wage can afford. You want to visit a country your average wage can't afford? Not a problem. A credit facility will be extended to you on a credit card, paying 18 to 25% a year, where you'll get yourself in so much debt you can't afford to live in the future. But don't worry about it. Everybody else is doing exactly the same because everybody else is normal, and providing you just pay the minimum amount each month on the card, nobody really cares. If you're enjoying this video so far, don't forget to smash that thumbs up button because it really does help the algorithm. Will, can you put one of those blue thumbs up emoji things about here? Well, you can't. Why not? Because dickheads do that. Apparently, I'm not allowed a thumbs up emoji button, but smash it anyway. Now, during your working life, you'll be offered a workplace pension, which you'll be expected to contribute to. That will mean after 40 years, if you're in for 40 years, and who the hell's in a pension scheme for 40 years? Most people panic when they get about 20 years to go and start it then. But assuming you're in for 40 years, the expectation is, on average, you'll retire on half pay. How does that sound? Pretty average, eh? Now, during this retirement, provided you've paid down your mortgage and you're now living cost-free housing, you may still be able to afford that 2 weeks in Benidorm. However, no guarantees. Not for the average. Some years in the future you'll die, and that house you paid for will be passed down to your kids, who will then spend it on a new car and a better than average holiday that year than they could afford on their own average salary. Now, of course, just because you're average and earning an average wage doesn't mean you have to look average, because the average system will allow you to not look average by extending you further debt, by surrounding yourself with symbols of abnormal people, even though you're only average. And what are the symbols of abnormal people, at least to the average perspective? Well, they're just things that normal people have. They just cost a little more. So if a normal person has a normal average car and you don't want to look normal, then you just borrow money to get a bigger car. An average person has a normal average house where you don't want to look normal, where you just borrow more money to get a bigger house. And how is it all funded? It's all either funded by debt or something called lifestyle creep. That is to say, if someone's earning more money, they just spend more money. The more they earn, the more they spend. They don't become any wealthier, they just look wealthier. So that's it, that's the average lifestyle. And look around you, that's what most people have. But you don't have to have an average lifestyle. If you feel you're not normal, which I think most people watching this channel feel that way because that's the way I always felt, then you have to do something different. So if the average Joe is working 8 hours a day, try working 12 hours. That will give you a 50% bonus in income. It does mean you have to make a sacrifice by watching less TV though, or playing less video games. But a sacrifice is necessary if you're going to be abnormal. You then take that money you earned from that 50% extra hours you've been working and you invest it long term in a stocks and shares Vanguard ISA or into property. And you don't have to worry about student debt because you didn't go to university. Because I've said many times throughout these videos, you don't have to be clever and you don't have to go to university to become wealthy. You just have to take your money and do with it things that average normal people don't do. You may too have to sacrifice those 2-week holidays in Benidorm, instead taking the money and investing that, making you wealthy. Neither do you buy designer clothes or buy a new lease car every year. That's what normal average people do. You have to make sacrifices, but you take these extra hours you work and you invest the money, you live a frugal lifestyle, you do that for 10 years and hey presto, you become a millionaire on minimum wage. Now when I say hey presto, it's 10 years. You've got to get through that suck, which I explained in another video. But you live frugally, work harder, invest that money, you become above average, you become abnormal, you become wealthy and a millionaire in 10 years on minimum wage. So a millionaire in 10 years time when you retire now, what do? Oh, I don't know, you could start a YouTube channel recording the extraordinary lifestyle of an extraordinary person. Who knows? Stranger things have happened. Don't be stupid, don't be normal, guys.